Good morning, boys and girls. Once again, welcome to my channel, Sanjeev Sharma English Tutorial. And today I have brought before you the second chapter of 12th class, Lost Spring. I hope that you will be enjoying a lot and please listen to me attentively by avoiding my faults. So I started. Lost Spring is one of the best creativities written by Anis Jung. Anis Jung, one of the best columnist, journalist, social activist, author, writer of English literature. She was born in 1944 in Rourkela and she had completed her schooling and graduation from Osmania University in Hyderabad, and after that she got shifted for higher study in America for sociology, and she did her post graduation in sociology and in American society. Her father, he was the legal advisor of the last Nawab of Hyderabad constituency. Her mother and brother are also they are also good poets of Urdu language. And in short, I would like to say that she is one of the renowned personalities of India. When she started writing her creativities, she was fond of roaming. Roaming means that she was visiting from one place to another. Suppose today she may be in Delhi, tomorrow she may be in Chandigarh, then she may be in Mumbai, then she may be in Hyderabad, then Kolkata, Chennai. It means that different places she used to roam. What was the main motive of her roaming? The main motive of her Anis Jung's roaming is that she used to collect a lot of information about the lifestyle of the people. How do they live? So that's why, because of her this habit, because of her these creativities, she had got a very close relations to the audience, and she had got a lot of admiration, and so many Booker prizes she had received. And today we are going to describe one of her beautiful creativities, Lost Spring. So, boys and girls, first of all, let me tell you about its title. What is a spring? Lost Spring. Spring, as you know very well, its a literal meaning means it's a season which usually comes in the month of February, after December and January. In December and January, whenever autumn season is coming, you know very well what happens in autumn. The leaves are fallen, the flowers are fallen from the trees, and the life seems dead, which has beautifully been depicted by Mr. Pabula Neruda, a beautiful poet, in the beautiful poems of Keeping Quiet, which we will discuss later on about it. So, but 1 month later, whenever the spring, with the commencement of spring season, automatically the new flowers usually come, the new leaves usually come, the life get flourished once again. It means the life seems active. So it is one of the beautiful seasons in the year. So here in this chapter, it doesn't relate to any season, boys and girls. First of all, notice about it, this is a symbolical word which has been used by Anis Jung. Symbolical, I mean to say that whenever the person is getting extremely happy, whenever he doesn't have any kind of tension, botheration, depression, suffocation, anything he doesn't have, this is one of the best periods in man's life. You are studying in 12th class, then you will be entering in college. After some time, then you will enter in your professionalism. Some of you will become doctors, some of you will become engineers, scientists. You will join Indian Army, you may join police force, and you may become businessman. It means maybe you may be in any of the professions, but as you are entering in any kind of profession, a lot of tensions you are going to take in bulk in your mind. So man is full of tension. That's why this period cannot be called completely that this is full of spring. Only one time period whom we can call that it is a spring season, that is, boys and girls, in the form of your childhood days. Especially whenever you are in the age group of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. At that time means no tension is there, no burden is there on your mind that you would have to fill this kind of responsibility, you would have to do this thing, that thing, except study and playing and enjoyment. Nothing would be there in student's life, in child's life. But here it has been lost. It's a symbolical word. Boys and girls, deep thinkly, this question may be coming in CBSE board examination. Justify the title Lost Spring. What does it mean? What does it mean? It means the best period, the golden period of time has been lost somewhere. So that's why as I depicted, Anish Chung, she was fond of roaming from one place to another, and is that in this way, once she paid a visit to in the outskirt, in the periphery of New Delhi. Periphery, I mean to say that the outer boundary of New Delhi, just on the outer boundary, there was a dirty town, Simapuri, and she paid a visit to there once. And there she encountered some boys. Those were rag pickers. Now, let me confirm you what is a rag picker. Rag means, you can say, scrap. What do you call it in Hindi language? Kuda karkat. Picker means those are picking. Okay, they are picking on their shoulder. Maybe there is a sack they were having. The bag, rag picking bag they are having on their shoulder. Some boys whom she encountered over there, and she started looking. It means these boys are in the age bar of 11, 12, 13, and it means they are not going to schools. It means no schooling is there for them, no preparation they are doing. It means what is going on with them. So that's why she could not control her curiosity, and she just started talking to one of them, and she asked one of the boys, ki, hey boys, just tell me, what is your name, bete? And then the boy simply replied, ki, ma'am, my name is Sahib Alam. Sahib Alam, which meant the Lord of Universe. Anish Jung, the writer, she knew the meaning of that name. And then she asked the boy, do you know the meaning of this name? But the boy denied, no ma'am, I don't know. And moreover, Anish Jung, she did not describe the meaning of the word. Otherwise, the boy would never be believing the Lord of Universe and doing the work of rag picking. Oh my God, what kind of irony is there in his life? So she had ignored the thing. The second question she asked means, is there any school in your neighborhood that you are not going to school? Then the boy denied, no ma'am, there is no schooling in my area. We do not go to school. And Anish Jung, then she curiously started asking one more question. Ki, beta, suppose if I open a school for you, would you like to join it? It means it was just like a ray of hope was entering in the darkened world of the boy, and tremendously he jumped happily. Yes ma'am, definitely I'll go to school. I will join your school. First of all, please open it as soon as possible. Then Anish Jung, and she kept a promise. So okay, as early as possible, I would open a school. Then I would invite all of you for getting studying over there. And she had been to there. So this was just like a common thing for Anish Jung, but the boy, Sahib Alam, he had taken it deeply, and he started thinking that definitely the ma'am, which she had kept a promise, and definitely she was going to open a school for him. And after few days, again when he encountered Anish Jung, writer, once again, and he curiously, with a sense of eagerness, he started asking, ki, ma'am, is your school ready? At that, Anish Jung, the writer, she simply replied with repentance. She started feeling the sense of repentance. Oh my God, how foolishly she had kept a promise, and that's why she had to make an excuse in front of him. She said that it would take some time in order to open the school, and the boy, he got disappointed, he got embarrassed. And then the writer, she started talking to him from where he belonged to and where he had been living. Then the boy, he replied that he, along with his mother, he had been living over there. The writer, she started having a desire to have an interaction to his mother, and Sahib had taken the writer to his home, and there she started talking. Anish Jung, the writer, she started talking to Sahib's mother, and she started asking him, ma'am, first of all, you tell me, why do you allow your son to for this kind of heinous work, that he is picking a rag picking back and scrounging the garbage heaps and just finding the gold, finding some coins? And boys and girls, here Anish Jung, she has used symbolical word coins. Coins, I mean to say that means these boys, they were scrounging. Scrounging means they were putting their hands in the huge garbage heaps in order to find out some maybe iron pieces, maybe some bottles or some plastic or some other thing which they could be able to sell on the scrap dealer shop, and in revert they could be able to get some money. And those money had been described symbolically as silver and gold coins by Anish Jung. So that's why she started asking him, ma'am, why do you allow your son? Why do you allow your child? It's an age to get him educated, to just teach him something else. And you are just offering me this kind of job foolishly. Then the mother, she simply, politely, humbly, she replied that means they had got migrated in 1971 from Bangladesh, Dhaka. They had their agriculture land, croplands they were having, grasslands they were having, but unfortunately the flood and the storm used to come every year over there, and those had destroyed all of their crops. And what would be the benefit of those land which would not be able to fill their stomach? And that's why they owe 10,000 families they had got shifted in Simapuri, and her family was one of them. And then she replied to the writer that it means that we are getting up early in the morning with the empty stomach, but whenever we are going to sleep in the night, our stomach is filled with food, and this is one of the biggest satisfactions we are having. And Anis Jung, and she could not make a lot of contradiction to that lady, because she was satisfied in her life, and she had been away from there. After few days, when the winters got started over there, and once she had seen Sahib, he was standing just before a tennis ground, and through the fencing. Fencing means the wires, the iron wires. Those had been put just on the boundary of the ground, and he had been looking towards the boys. Those had been playing the tennis inside, and she was surprised to see that at that time Sahib, he was wearing the pair of shoes, because once Sahib had told the writer that he did not have even a single pair of slippers, and moreover he had described the writer that his mother, she would have a pair of chappals which she had kept safe and where she would be giving on some special occasion. But now this time she was surprised from where he had got the shoe, and she just went before Sahib and after greeting, and she asked him, beta, from where you have got these shoes? And Sahib Alam simply he replied humbly that, ma'am, the boy, that rich boy who had been playing inside, he had offered me this pair of shoes, madam. And moreover, that this like my dream had come to true, and moreover, madam, I would be playing like him that he had been playing inside, and I'll show you, ma'am, one day. Definitely. It was just like that the writer started thinking one of the old stories which she had listened during her childhood days. Ki once there was a village in Udupi, and there was a boy who used to come just before the temple and started requesting every day before the goddess ki to bless him with a pair of chappals. And now after 30 years the wish had been completed by the goddess, and now in the form of Sahib, the same boy, he had got a pair of shoes, and it is just like a dream which was going to be fulfilled for Sahib Alam. And she had been away from there. After a few days, once again she had encountered Sahib. Once again, this time he was not having the rag picking bag on his shoulder, and the writer goes much surprised to see that he was having a heavy iron canister in his hand. Canister, it means in which you are bringing milk, just like that. What do you call in local language, dolu. He was having a heavy canister in his hand. So she was surprised, and she just called, hey Sahib, listen to me. Sahib turned back and just came to the writer and started asking, ki Sahib, dear, what are you doing? Means, where is your eye picking bag? I have never seen you this canister, means in your hand. First time I have seen. What is this? Then he simply replied that, ki madam, I have got a job, 800 rupees per month salary at a tea stall at the end of this lane, madam. Then the writer started asking one question, ki beta, are you happy with your job? Are you happy? Are you satisfied? But Sahib, he was speechless. He could not speak anything, because actually he was not happy, which had clear cut been shown through his facial expressions and body language, that he was not happy, because this time he was not the owner of his own wish, and he had been working job under other person. And Sahib, without speaking, he turned and started moving back to the tea stall. In this way, Anis Jung, she has beautifully depicted about the pitiable, miserable and pathetical condition of the poor children. Those had been living in the slum area. Those have no good survival for their children, no good fooding, no good clothing, no good education for their children. Means actually even then they are satisfied. Their main motive is to fill the stomach of their family. And this had been going on, and no observation had been done by the government side, and no inspectors, governors, they are not going to pay attention towards these boys. And that's why the spring has completely been lost of these poor children. Second visit, she paid a visit to Firozabad. Firozabad is also a dirty town, and actually it is one of the glass growing industries of India. Approximately 20,000 poor children, they had been surviving over there. and each one of them, they had engulfed and engaged themselves in order to work in the dark and dingy cells. Dark and dingy cells, I mean to say that dark means without light. Dingy means that if you are digging the earth, dharti khodna, and you are just getting inside, that is called dingy. And it means it had been covered, and it is inside the earth, and there is no air and light is coming, and you would have to make yourself before the furnace. Furnace means aag ki bhatti. You make yourself sit before the furnace, and that's why, number one, the temperature of inside the earth, number two, the temperature of the furnace is coming, and moreover, they would have to work in the dim light, and they have to solder the pieces of glasses. Okay, and as a result, what happened, slowly their eyes, they started getting adjusted in the dim light, and none of them could be able to open their eyes in the sunlight. Simply as a result, what happened, most of them before coming to adult age, they had got blinded. And this had been going on, and this had given a great shock to the heart and mind of Ani Singh, and she started writing a story regarding these poor children. And one of these children, his name was Mukesh, and once she encountered and started asking, "Beta, what is your name?" And he simply went, "My name is Mukesh." And means that, "Are you one of them?" "Yes, madam, I belong to one of the bangle making families. My father, my grandfather, my grandmother, my brother, and me, all we have been engaged in order to work in the dark and dingy cells. We are soldering the pieces of glasses, and I'm a good skilled, the bangle maker. But this is not my goal, madam. I want to become a motor mechanic." And the writer, she got surprised. It means this kind of expectation this boy is having, and big, but due to the poverty of his family, that he had not got any support, no good education he had been given, because their family, they are poor stricken, and that's why he had to pay a lot of penalty because of the poverty of his family. He could not be able to move to the garage. And then he said, "Okay, but madam, definitely I would show you the great willpower he was having." He said that, he means, "Madam, one day I would show you that I am going to become a good motor mechanic." And then the writer, she tremendously got very much happy. "Yes, beta, my good luck are with you. So can you make an interaction with your family members?" And definitely he got happy, he got ready. Immediately he had taken the writer towards the hutments, into the dirty lanes where water was moving, and the pigs and the dogs were moving here and there. It was very stinky. So one of the hutments, and he had opened with a kick of his feet, and he opened the door, and both of them, by leaning means jhukna, by bowing themselves, they got entered into the hutment. And as he got entered, and along with him, the writer, she also got entered inside. The writer, she got surprised to see there was a frail young woman, and she was boiling some vessel. She was boiling something in vessel, and there was the old lady, and she was a grandmother of Mukesh, and he introduced the family members to the writer. And after some time, when the grandfather, and he got entered inside with the cuffing. So as he got entered inside, the frail young woman, and she pulled her veil. Veil means ghungat, as it was a custom and tradition of India since centuries. We had been looking. That means whenever the elder brother, the husband's elder brother, what you call jate, and the father-in-law, as they are going to get entered in the family, so definitely the daughter-in-law, they would have to cover their face with the veil. And that's why she, in the same process, she had covered her face. And then the writer, she started asking the question to the grandfather and grandmother, means what kind of condition they had made for their poor children. And means at this, the grandmother, she had simply replied, "It is his karma, his destiny." Yes, this, my boys and girls, first of all, I would like to tell you, this word has been completely in this way. It is his karma, his destiny. This question has come many times in CBSE board. Just read this question. It is his karma, his destiny. Who said these words, and what was the logic behind it? It means the grandmother, she simply started describing about it, that means since generation to generation, all of them, they had been working in order to solder the piece of glasses, and they are making colorful bangles. His grandfather, he had been making, his father, he is making, and he is making, and his coming generation, they would be making. So what is it harm in it? Then the second question, the Anish Singh started asking, means, you tell me that you are going to spoil the future of your child. Means what you have done for your son. And simply, the grandfather, he replied, he means that he had made the hut man. Oh my God, what a Taj Mahal he had made. And at this, he replied, he, madam, so many poor people we have seen. He means they are just living on the pavement. They are living, they don't have any hutment, and at least means I have got my own roof, that under its surveillance that we are living over there. Under its shed we are surviving over here. So after prolonged discussion, when Anish Chang, she did not find any solution, ki means these are satisfied people, and then she had gone away from there, and then she encountered another girl, 11-year-old girl Savita. She was sitting along with beside her grandmother, and her hands were moving like a machine, and she was soldering the pieces of glasses. So this means this was like just like a sentimental and emotional scene for Anish Chang, that she started thinking that this little girl, one day she would become a bridal, and she would wear the bangles, the colorful bangles in her arms. And but the irony is that means she doesn't know the sanctity behind it. What is the actual sanctity of it? It symbolizes the Indian women suhagan, but this girl doesn't know anything. She could make the bangles, but she doesn't know. She didn't know about the sanctity behind it. So this condition had been going on for the people for a long lasting period, and she met some of few people, and then she came outside, and then she started putting the comment on the sahukars, politicians, bureaucrats, policemen, and everybody go, because it was like a vicious circle. Because of these people, the condition of these poor people had become more and more pathetical and miserable, because they are exploiting them. And then she started asking one of the persons, why don't they complain against those people? And one of the persons simply replied back to Anish Chang, ki, madam, if we complain against them, what would happen? Nothing would be there. The police would come, they would arrest us, and we would send to the jail. In the same manner, he means, madam, at least rather than finding our identification, it is more necessary for us that we are filling the stomach of our family, and we are happy and contented, we are satisfied. So Anish Chang, and she had returned back from there, but it had given a great shock in the mind and heart of Anish Chang, and that's why she had put a satire. She had put a comment on the people. I mean, shame on the people. Those are going to exploit to these poor people, because there is no humanity lies. Because if the future of our country lies in the pitiable and miserable condition, how can we expect for a developed country in this way? And that's why she wanted to indirectly she wanted to request the government, and she wanted to request the person, those are moving the big syndicates, to just come forward and start helping these poor children, because everybody has a right to enjoy their life in the best period of their life, golden period. Good education should be given whenever a child is born, good clothing should be given, good fooding should be given, because whenever, if we are expecting for a good nation, if we're expecting for a betterment, so that's why we would have to step forward in the same manner. So in this way, beautifully she has depicted about the story, the Lost Spring. I hope that you had enjoyed this chapter beautifully, and just learn the question answers, and write down the value based questions and some short answer type questions. I hope that you would be more and more. Thank you once again for that.